Welcome to Flick Club. It's like a book club, but for movies. I'm Taft the Man, and on this channel, we're going to discuss awesome movies. One thing that we love in this part of the world, Africa, especially people of my age, is a good old no-holds-barred action movie. And while the staples of the genre are your Arnold Schwarzeneggers, Sylvester Stallones, Jean-Claude Van Damme's, the movie we're going to look at today had an unlikely leading man, definitely not muscular, but I believe oozing charisma. I'm talking about The Peacemaker. So this is a 1997 action movie starring George Clooney and Nicole Kidman. Here's the basic story. A rogue Russian general steals 10 nuclear warheads and is in league with some Bosnian dudes, although this really comes out later in the story. But yeah, the character that Nicole Kidman plays she's the person in charge of tracking smuggled nuclear weapons. Her office is in the White House, and George Clooney plays a military liaison. They get tipped off by a Russian military contact of George's and go to Austria, where they track down the truck that the nuclear warheads are now being transported on. They launch an attack on the truck and the rogue Russian general is killed. But it's at this point that they discover that one warhead is missing. It's been converted into a suitcase nuke, and I'm using the term suitcase nuke here a bit loosely. Suitcase nuke just refers to a nuclear weapon that can be carried in some sort of luggage. In this case, it's a backpack. So anyway, they realize that the missing nuclear device is headed for the United States, the UN headquarters in New York to be precise. The movie culminates in this long chase sequence in New York where they're trying to catch the Bosnian guy with the backpack, and of course it ends with them trying to disarm the nuclear device with like seconds left on the clock. The thing I loved most about this movie is that George Clooney is basically playing a dialed down version of himself. He's not his usual charming, sexy self, although I honestly think he can't help that. He just is charming and sexy. I honestly think that if he did more movies like this, we could actually count him amongst like the major action stars of Hollywood.
Mr. Hayden, may I ask you to leave the...
Should have taken the money, Hans.
I have no idea why he didn't pursue being a leading action man. Nicole Kidman is great as like your typical office worker type, but with brains. So a lot of the connecting of the dots that happens in this movie in the investigation is her doing. She would later on end up in another movie which involves the UN headquarters in New York. It's called The Interpreter. Look out for a video on that movie soon. The Peacemaker has some awesome action sequences. And true to 90s action movies, a lot of the effects are practical. The explosions are real, huge and fiery, and you can tell that they're stuntmen actually driving and crashing vehicles or engaging in hand-to-hand combat. It's awesome. That last sequence I talked about in New York where they're chasing the guy with the backpack down the street, you can tell they shut down an entire street and George Clooney is like jumping over cars and doing that thing where you hop over the hood and slide off. It's just totally awesome action. I highly recommend it. The director is fantastic. Mimi Leder, I hope I'm pronouncing her name correctly. She also directed Deep Impact, which is another movie I love and hope to do a video on. But yeah, check out The Peacemaker and enjoy yourselves. Oh yeah, how could I forget? The music is by Hans Zimmer, so you know that action is perfectly scored. This is a solid movie and one I highly recommend, even for someone who isn't a cinephile. The cool thing about 90s action movies is they're made for all movie lovers across the board. If you like the content I make here, support the channel by subscribing. And don't forget to drop a like when you find a video that you like. Also, invite family, friends, and other movie lovers to subscribe to the channel.